Hi, welcome to OVTLYR Live. So it's that time of the year. I am not talking about Halloween. I'm talking about looming government debt, looming government shutdown. So just like Halloween comes every year, the possibility of government shutdown, it comes to our door, try to haunt us every year. So let's dive into it. Let's try to understand what's going on, why it happens every year, and then we'll see what is the impact, what is the possible impact of government shutdown on the stock market. So let's start our conversation today. Okay, so you have Republicans, you have Democrats. One party supports certain bills, certain rights, certain issues, while the other party oppose, those issues. Every year, both parties see this time of the year when they have to sign off on, government spending and all of that. They see this time to negotiate, to push their beliefs, their bills that they support, and try to have other parties sign. So this is the perfect time to negotiate, in my opinion. And the last government shutdown happened back in 2018, and it was around for 34 days. So the last government shutdown happened in 2018, December 2018. And why it happened? Because the underlying issue was the demand for US to pay around $5.7 billion for US Mexico border wall. Before that, it happened same year, 2018, but in January, around January, again the issue, underneath issue was the fight over immigration. Before that, if let's go back in time, before that it happened back in 2013, right? When Obama care was the underlying issue, where Republicans were trying to dismantle key parts of Obamacare, and of course Democrats were against it. So that was the underlying issue of why government shutdown happened back in 2013 for around 16 days. And every time it happens, there is definitely an impact on people who work for government, right? So their paychecks, they get really jittery, because of course they don't get paid during that time. And then there are some other impacts also. But let's try to understand what is the issue right now, right? And what is that underlying issue that we are looking into? So when I was going through some of these uh, news here, I saw that there are like three key issues right now, of course. So one is around abortion access. Second was around Biden administration's climate initiative to undo that $11 billion bill, I believe. And the third one was to resume construction of that US Mexico border wall. So right now the negotiations are happening. We do not know whether the government shutdown will happen again this year, but there is always a risk. So right now this topics are literally very hot right now, and we will know whether the government shutdown will actually happen, or both parties will come to a point, they will negotiate something, and they will avoid this government shutdown. Now let's talk about the risk, right? So of course there is a risk of a lot of these federal workers not getting paid, right, during that time. uh, but the biggest risk that I see is the US government credit rating, right? So if you remember, uh, a month and a half ago, Fitch downgraded US rating so from Moody's, right? So I was reading about Moody's rating. So they are still at AAA, right, which is the highest rating that they can give to any institution, you know. But there is a risk that because if this government shutdown happen, that Moody may bring their rating down. We don't know yet. This is again, we will have to see. But that is the biggest risk that I see to the image of United States, because anybody who is buying US debt, I mean, they get jittery when these kind of events happen, right? So we need to make sure that at least the image of United States stays intact, and Moody doesn't downgrade US credit rating. So that means that uh, if possible, these kind of events should be avoided, right? So when we are talking about government shutdown, let's briefly look. I got curious, right? I got curious on, okay, how much US makes every year, how much they spend every year, right? What is the deficit? And let's just try to understand where it is going, because we keep on hearing that okay, we are spending more than we are making, which is true, by the way. So let's look into that. So how much US makes? So source of revenue, so this is I pulled just from the Treasury website. So every year, like the total revenue comes around 3.97 trillion dollars. So majority of it comes from income taxes, which uh, takes about 49% of the total revenue collected. Then you talk about social security and Medicare taxes, corporate income taxes, other taxes. So majority of the income that US makes come from these taxes that they levy upon different places, different institutions, individuals, etc. So let's look into the where the money is going right now. So 23% goes into social security, 15% goes into healthcare, then 13% goes into national defense, Medicare, income security, and so on and so forth. So if you look into pure dollar amount, around 1.24 trillion dollar goes into social security, then around 812 billion dollar goes into healthcare, right? And around 736 billion dollar goes into national defense. And then you see this list here. You can check it out from the Treasury website. uh, let's talk about deficit. What it is looking like. uh, so you are making less, you're spending more, your deficit keeps on going up, right? So really, where you want to be is you want to reduce that deficit. If you want to keep things like, okay, I want to keep the US credit rating intact, right? You need to keep this deficit in check, because every time this deficit goes up, it will keep on going up unless you do something about it. Again, I'm not a politician, I'm just a regular consumer, and I see that, and it concerns me. What do you think that how government should spend, where they should make cuts? Let me know your views, and I'm curious about that, because I think there is a lot of places that they can cut and they can spend less to keep everything in check. uh, Now let's talk about the impact of this whole government shutdown on US stock market. So in past government shutdowns, right, there has not been like there was not much of an impact on stock market, and in fact in some of the cases the stocks actually went up. So I'm looking at some of the numbers here. Back in 2018, when the shutdown happened, the stock market actually gained 10% after that. So looks like there is not much of an impact on the stock market. In fact, it does better, at least from what I'm seeing from the data. When government shutdown happens, actually it's good for stock market. So we will know how, like, if it really happens, and then how stocks will go up or down. We will see that in coming days. But when I look into outliers dashboard right now I'm seeing most of the sectors and indexes are downtrending. So it's in that downtrend. But if I look at S&P 500, right, it has been going like in that downward it's in that downward momentum, right? But I am seeing that investor fear is building up, and we will know in coming days, weeks, how this trajectory changes, like whether trajectory changes in next few days, few weeks, but it will change in coming weeks. So we will keep an eye on these sectors and indexes on how everything is going. But that's all for today, and thank you all for joining. Let me know if you have any comments or questions, or comments around this government shutdown. I'm curious to know, what do you guys think about it? Thank you.